All right, let's jump to the main slate for Sunday, and we'll break down the 3-game Saturday slate in our night shift episode, along with the Sunday and Monday night DFS slates. That'll be out later in the week. But for now, talk main slate here. Got a pretty full slate still because no team is on bye anymore. So who do you like as far as stacks?
Yeah, so I love a Joe Flacco, Amari Cooper stack. Flacco's 5,500 and Cooper's 6K. You could also throw in David Njoku there, who's 4,700, but I think after last week, cat's out of the bag on him. So I'm fine with just stacking these 2 or 3 players against the Bears. And I had mentioned on our previous pod that Flacco has really injected life in this passing offense. And, Cooper has seen a target on 31% of his routes run with Joe Flacco. He had a good 7-catch game last week, but we've yet to see like a patented Amari Cooper eruption game, and I think that could be coming. So in DFS specifically, I love stacking Flacco and Cooper. I think he's just going to funnel a ton of targets his way, especially if Jerome Ford is unable to play. They might lean on the pass even more. This is a pass funnel defense in the Bears, so I just love investing in this Browns offense right now. And then for my other one, I like a Rams stack with Matthew Stafford and Puka Nacua, but instead of throwing in Cooper Kupp, I'm going to throw in our boy Demarcus Robinson, who's a lot more than just running wind sprints out there. I mean, he has been an integral part of this passing offense for like 4 games now.
Yep.
So I think, a lot of people are going to stack Stafford and Nacua and maybe throw in Kupp, but, this is the time to invest in Robinson. Ran around on 98% of Stafford's dropbacks last week, mainly due to Tutu Atwell having to leave the game. So if Tutu Atwell and or Tyler Higbee remain out, Robinson could continue to be, top 2, top 3 target for Matthew Stafford in what should be a really good matchup against the Commanders. They allow a ton of explosive plays. So I like stacking them, but having Robinson in there as being sort of a contrarian stack for the Rams.
Yeah, and even the last 2 weeks before Atwell went down, Robinson, because they're essentially Robinson, they're direct backups for each other. So when one goes out, the other one goes in. And Robinson ran more routes than Atwell each of those 2 weeks as well. And I think the reason he's playing more is because, number one, he gives them more size, and number 2, run blocking. He's a great run blocker, and he's actually been more consistent as a receiver than Atwell, who's more of a big play kind of guy, not the same type of receiver. So I think, with cutback and Nacua kind of giving you the finesse, you don't really, Atwell is more of a rotational guy, like a true rotational, like deep threat, big play, splash guy, kind of like that. They don't need him to be an every down player. So yeah, I think even if Atwell is healthy, I think you're going to continue to see Robinson very involved in this offense. So love that one. I'm going to go in that same game on the other side because,
nice.
Obviously Stafford's going to be popular. Sam Howell, though, 20 or more DraftKings points in 6 straight games coming off the bye. And, of course, you have Terry McLaurin, a squeaky wheel, 0 catches. He said he was just running wind sprint. No, what did he say? He was just doing cardio. That's what he said. He was just doing cardio in that game against the Dolphins. No catches on 3 targets. So, they're, especially coming off the bye. Ron Rivera's been talking about it. Bieniemy's been talking about it. It's all, everyone's talking about it in Washington. So, they're going to work up some type of shot plays, schemed looks, do something to get this man 5-6 catches in his game because it's just been, I think he never really fully recovered from that, or maybe it's nagging. Like I think he had a turf toe type injury in the preseason or the off season, and a lot of times guys end up playing through injuries and you don't hear about it until after the year because they don't, they're not like they can still play, so they're not popping up on the injury report. But I don't think Terry is exactly what he was in the past. But he's also running a lot of hitch routes and just routes that don't really give you the chance at big plays. So I feel like with this bye week, it's coming late, but it's coming at a good time to invest in him coming off 0 catches. So love that Howell, Terry McLaurin stack. And you can add a third, like Curtis Samuel, I like as well, because this could be a shootout in SoFi. No weather to worry about. The Rams 20th in DVOA against pass and against number one receivers. And then I have one that's a bit more contrarian. Tommy DeVito going up against the Saints. And this Saint defense is not great. And they're banged up, dealing with some injuries. And they just came off playing Bryce Young and the Panthers. So, of course, their numbers are going to kind of be inflated and look a little better than what they really are. But since week 8, the Saints are 26th in EPA per play on defense, excluding turnovers, which, obviously kind of drastically influence EPA per play. So a lot of times you want to look at it without turnovers. And against the pass, they're 27th since week 8. So this defense has not been the same. And DeVito is competent. And what I like about him is not only is he cheap because you're not accounting for the Monday night football game with the price that came out before that, but all his receivers are super cheap as well. And they all played at least 80% of the snaps. The Giants really only used 4 receivers coming off the bye against the Packers in that game. Slayton played 96%, was on the field for 96% of the dropbacks, Hyatt 89%, and then Wan'Dale Robinson 81%. And then you had Hodgins as a situational red zone threat playing about 20%, and that was it. No Shepard, Campbell was inactive, and Olszewski doesn't get playing time. So you're getting Wan'Dale 3,700 on DK and 5,300 on FanDuel. Slayton 3,100 and Hyatt 3,200. And Wan'Dale is the guy that popped for the big game in prime time. So I actually like going with Hyatt and or Slayton more because they're also the downfield guys. And so you're getting super cheap quarterbacks, super cheap downfield weapons. And DeVito 7.5 yards per attempt in 4 of his last 5 appearances. Remember, the league average is about 6.9, 7.0. So, he's been playing well. The Saints defense has not. And they play the second most man in the league. DeVito, a touchdown rate versus man coverage of 8% compared to 3% versus zone coverage. His passer rating against man coverage is 90. His passer rating against zone coverage is 80. So good matchup under the radar for DeVito, even though it's a low total, and just super cheap receivers. And the Saints, especially if they get some of their guys back, like maybe Taysom, maybe Rashid Shaheed, they could put up some points as well. So this is a sneaky shootout indoors that I don't think anyone would be expecting. So love this, love that DeVito, Hyatt, Slayton, and or Wan'Dale as a contrarian stat.
Yeah, I like it. The Saints defense left Chark open. I think he dropped it. And then Mingo was wide open I had the under in that game. I was so lucky that Mingo didn't catch up to that. It was a horrible throw by Bryce Young, but who knows? Maybe Tommy and DeVito would stick it in there. But yeah, Hyatt, that's good news for Hyatt. It just seems like the Saints blew coverage a few times and the Panthers weren't able to take advantage. So it does seem like a sneaky spot.
It's pretty sad. Like, if I need a quarterback to go down the field and win me a game, like do or die, I'm 100 times out of 100 taking Tommy DeVito over Bryce Young right now. You have to. You have to take him over Daniel Jones too, pretty much at this point.
Yeah.
But
what about Tim Boyle? Would you rather have Bryce Young or Tim Boyle?
Tim Boyle, easily.
Okay.
Like, that's not even. I mean, yeah, he was bad in that start on the Jets, but Tim Boyle has covered a couple of games. Bryce Young has covered once or twice in his career. He's only won once. I mean, it's just like the sample keeps growing. That's the thing. It's like a lot of these guys, usually backups are so or bad quarterbacks are so bad that they don't get 500, 600, 700 dropbacks. Like, that's the thing that's concerning about Bryce Young is it's not getting better, and the sample size is growing. And it's a little different from, I know Reich's a bad coach, but it's a little different from the Trevor Lawrence, Urban Meyer situation, which was clearly just a Urban Meyer situation. So yeah, I think it's time to worry, but we'll see what happens next season. But who do you like for dart throws on the main slate?
So a quarterback, Zach Wilson sticks out. He's 4,900 against the Dolphins. Played at a very high level last week. He looked phenomenal. Probably going to be short-lived, but who knows? Buy in for one more week. I think he's worth a flyer here. It should be a pass-heavy game script against the Dolphins. Ramsey doesn't shadow wide receivers, so it should be easy for the Jets to just line Garrett Wilson up on the other side, can still target him at a high rate. So I think this is a good spot for Zach Wilson, below 5K here. At running back, I'm going to go Devin Singletary at 5,400 against the Titans. It's been almost impossible to project how Houston's backfield is going to shake out the past few weeks. But last week, Singletary became the lead back again for them. Could have been due to the negative game script. It seems like they do like to get him more involved when it's they're trailing. So, with Stroud potentially missing this week, the Titans are 2.5-point favorites. It could be more of a Singletary game. Jeffrey Simmons might be out again for Tennessee, which is a huge blow to their D line, of course. And I think Davis Mills might be more willing to check down to his running back. So could be a good spot for Singletary. Could be sneaky here at 5,400. At wide receiver, going to have to go with Demario Douglas at 3,900 against the Chiefs, assuming he returns this week finally. It's a tougher matchup. He'll probably see a lot of Trent McDuffie in the slot. But at 3,900, he's still going to see targets. Probably still worth it. So I do like him there. And then Chigukwanku, way too cheap at 2,900. He's been heating up, and then Josh Wiley was out last game, so he saw a massive route percentage. He had a 78% route participation rate. Went off for 5 catches, 46 yards against the Dolphins. So I think even if Wiley does return, he's probably still worth 2,900. That's not too high. But if he's out again, he's going to be a no-brainer play at this price.
Yeah, fine. It took the Titans long enough. Just get this dude the ball in space. He's great after the catch. He's explosive. I'm really surprised. It seemed like the whole year they were just trying to figure out how to throw to Westbrook Akine and Chris Moore. Just throw to your big tight end who can run.
Yeah, let Levis throw it around to Chig, among all people. That would be pretty fun.
So I think I mentioned him last week too, but second week in a row, like Kareem Hunt. He's still under 5K on DraftKings and under 6K on FanDuel. And I don't really understand why, because him and Jerome Ford are pretty much splitting early down work. And Hunt is the goal line short yardage back, so whereas Ford is the passing down back. Now, it is, I know it's PBR, so yes, Ford is still going to be the higher projected player, but he's banged up. I think he has a wrist injury. But either way, Hunt knows the name of the game, and that's scoring touchdowns. He's scored in 6 of his last 9 games, kind of a little bit under the radar, because he joined the Browns a couple of games into the season after that Nick Chubb injury. And since he's joined the team, he's gotten 75%, 9 out of the 12 carries inside the 5-yard line. So that, his 7 touchdowns in the last 9 games, that's not a fluke. That is essentially how they're using him, which is a bit different than we thought of him with, than he was used with Chubb, where he was more of like the passing down complement. Mm-hmm. Now he's like the short yardage go, he's like the Zeke in this offense. So like Kareem Hunt at 4,700, home favorite against the Bears. Rico Dowdle, mentioned him on a pod last week. His usage is going up in this Cowboy offense. It's just so explosive that if a guy's getting snaps and touches in this offense, you want to invest, especially at 4,600 on DK, 5,500 on FanDuel. At Buffalo, could be a shootout. Dowdle, 15 carries and 3 targets in the red zone this year. Last 5 games, he's averaging 9 touches for 40 scrimmage yards, and he scored three touchdowns in his last 5 games. So he has been cutting into Tony Pollard's work. I know it's frustrating for Pollard owners, but for DFS purposes, Dowdle is a guy who I think you want to invest in. You already mentioned Demarcus Robinson. Love him. 98% route participation last week. He's got a touchdown in back-to-back games with over 45 yards in each. And again, Washington dead last in pass defense. Already mentioned Wandale. So I like both Robinsons under 4K, Wandale and Demarcus. And then Tucker Kraft, just 3K at Tampa Bay, 4,700 on FanDuel, 98% route participation last game on Monday night against the Giants, 87% route participation over his last 3. Mispriced due to appearing on Monday Night Football where the prices have already come out for this slate, but he caught 4 balls for 64 yards against the Giants, a 43-yard long gain, 3 for 37 on 6 targets against KC. Nothing to write home about, but 6 targets in your second start, also nothing to sneeze at. And then in his first start, he caught a touchdown, a couple of catches, but a touchdown. So he's kind of, hasn't had like that true breakout where he combines a lot of yardage with a touchdown. But, based on how he's been performing and the fact that Luke Musgrave remains out, I think, a breakout could be coming anytime for Kraft, who wasn't taken that far after Musgrave in the draft and has some talent for himself. And Tampa Bay, 8th most schedule adjusted targets per game and the 9th most schedule adjusted receiving yards per game to the tight end position per FTN. So like Kraft at just 3K, I think that's a steal with some high upside. All right, let's go build a lineup.
All right, I'm going to go with let's go with Zeke at 5,800.
My man. I would have definitely taken him too.
Yeah. He sticks out like a sore thumb right there.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, every snap, he's not coming off the field. Okay. Let's see what I want to do here. Oh, let's go Stafford at 6K.
Yep. I was considering him.
Yeah. 10 touchdowns, 1 pick last 3. 6K, I'll take it.
I was going to go with him or Purdy, so thanks for...
I think I've had Purdy the last 2 weeks. He's another one.
It's my turn, I guess. I'm going to take Garrett Wilson at 5,800. Again, I think he should be able to avoid Ramsey. I think he'll still have a good game here.
Let's go Trey McBride at 5,200. That price is too low for him.
Damn it. Yeah, I was just looking at that and looking at the Niners against tight ends recently. They've had like the easiest schedule I've ever seen.
Yeah,
against tight ends
and they got guys banged up too.
Yeah,
defense. So
yeah, I was gonna go with him. Damn it. I'm gonna go with Amari Cooper. I've been talking him up. He's only 6K. I got to go with Cooper here.
Give me Rachaad White at 7K. This guy has just been so consistent week in, week out, running the ball, catching the ball. I mean, great breakout sophomore year for Rachaad White. And Packers defense, we know they tend to be shaky against the run, but and they gave a big game to Saquon Barkley, so right up White's alley. I still think he's too cheap, even though he's up to 7K.
Yeah, like it. Well, I'm going to take first stab at defense. I hate doing this, but it's rough. I'm going to just go with the Chiefs at 3,900. This is a get-right spot for them. Zappy looked okay last week, but it could come unraveling anytime soon. So I like their upside here, so I'll go with the Chiefs at 3,900.
Hedging your Zeke play. With
am I? Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Come on, man. You gotta wake up.
I could
not, really going to affect it that much because Zeke is going to intercept all the touches.
Yeah, get a pick 6 and then just keep dumping it off to Zeke. I don't mind Zeke in a trailing game script. Bring it on.
Ooh, I'm just going to take advantage of another mispriced player for Monday night. Regardless who plays and who's out, Jaden Reed, 4,900. Too cheap at this point. Not only is he catching a lot of footballs these days, which especially on DraftKings is great, but he's also getting those, 1, 2, 3, even 4 carries in a lot of these games. So, 3 of his last 4 games, he has multiple carries. So that always raises the floor. And he actually ran one in twice in the last 4 games. He had a rushing touchdown, including on Monday night. So Jaden Reed sticks out like a sore thumb under 5K at this point against a Bucs defense that's just been bad.
Yeah. All right. Trying to decide if I should spend up. Let me I'm gonna go with this is a tough call. Yeah, I'll just go with CeeDee Lamb right now and I'll figure it out later. He's 9,200, but if Tyreek Hill's out this week, he has a huge edge over the rest of the field. I don't think he's priced too high either. I rarely spend up at wide receiver. I think this is a good spot. Should be a pass-heavy game, and Lamb is just playing at such a high level. I'll just spend up there, and I'll figure out my plan from here.
All right. I mean, yeah, you can't go wrong with CeeDee Lamb. I got him ranked number one right now with the uncertainty with Hill.
Yep.
So I'm going to do what I love to do in these kind of spots, and I'm going to take a guy who was terrible in his last game and expect the team to try to do everything in their power to correct it. And I already got some correlation because I got Stafford. So give me Terry McLaurin at 5,600. Nice. You can bet anything that coming off 0 catches, they are going to look to scheme him the ball. He also doesn't have a 100-yard receiving game yet this year. So I bet he's looking for that. I bet they're looking for that. And you get that 3-point bonus if it were to happen. So 5,600, nice little depressed price for Terry in a game that should be a shootout indoors. So let's do it.
Love that, like 5,500 to 6K range at wide receiver. There's some really good options, including Terry.
Says the guy who just spent up on CeeDee Lamb.
I know. Well, I took 2 of these guys. I have Garrett Wilson and Amari Cooper.
Yep.
See, it allows you to get like an expensive guy like CeeDee Lamb. And there's some good cheap options too, which is why I did that. Let's see. I'm going to go with, I do have to spend down at some point. And you already took both onesie positions, so I'm like attacking around the edges right now. Let's see if I go this way, what happens. I don't want you to take him. Like I said, you have the onesie positions locked up, so if I get him, the plan can go through. Demarcus Robinson, my flex at 3,600, and I love him at this price, and I'm projecting Tutu Atwell to play. Mm-hmm. So if he's out, I'm gonna love D-Rob at this price. So I felt like you might take him, so I'm gonna lock him at 3,600 here in my flex.
Yeah, I was definitely thinking about it. The only reason I didn't pull the trigger was because, like you said, there actually are numerous options, and I have Stafford already, so I wasn't like in a hurry. But yeah, I think he's a great pick. All right, let's see. Yeah, let's roll with the trend and go with the Browns defense at home. Just 12.6 points per game allowed in Cleveland. Justin Fields been playing better, but still good for some sacks and potentially some turnovers as well. So 3,500, not cheap, but love the home favorite Browns defense, who have been playing better at home.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm going to take another running back. I'm going to go Chuba Hubbard at 5,600. The only bright spot of this Panthers offense right now. And, it should be a close game against the Falcons. They're only getting 3 points, so should be able to lean on Hubbard. So I think he has a big game here. Only 5,600. So, yeah, I like running back like in this 5,500 range. Seems like there's some pretty good value there.
Yeah, like this is one of those weeks I feel like it's a good slate. There seems to be a lot of value at all the different spots and whatnot. So I'll go with my punt play and pay down for Wan'Dale Robinson against the Saints.
Nice.
I like his matchup beyond the fact that I'm not picking him just because he went off on primetime, but going up against the Saints, generally they put Alontae Taylor in the slot, and he's been one of the worst graded corners. And you also saw Wan'Dale start to go downfield a little bit more, even from the slot, which I think is big because he's been a good a lock for 4 or 5 catches almost every game, but just needed more yards per. And last game, 13.2 yards per catch, the second highest of the year. So perhaps he can continue to do that. And also like the fact that late in the year we're getting another one of these indoor games. So I'll go Wan'Dale. That gives me a 70-50 average for a running back and a flex.
Yeah, Wan'Dale, I've been picking on his longest reception under 15 and a half yards all year. Mm-hmm. And the Discord was going along with it. And then yesterday it was under 13 and a half, was minus 150. And they're like, do you see any value in that? I said, absolutely not. The books have caught on. Plus, he might just start going off for 6+ catch games, go more downfield, and that's exactly what happened. So thank God I got off that train early. Love his upside there at that price. I was definitely considering him or Robinson. So I'm going tight end. I'm going to go with Tucker Kraft here at 3K. I think he made a lot of great points. It was between him or Chig. I think both guys, are mispriced due to, playing on Monday Night Football. Both had good games. I don't need to save the extra $100 on Chig, so I like Kraft. His projection could be even better if Watson and Wicks are both ruled out, and Aaron Jones again. So I just love his upside here at 3K.
Yeah, there's always seems to be a couple of those guys. Like last week, I thought Kate Otten was another one that was like underpriced at that range, and he got the touchdown weight. There's usually a tight end that you can find in that 3K range that has no business being priced that low. All right, so this year has been death, taxes, and target the Panther run defense. So I got to go with Bijan, 6,800 here, and his workload's been a little bit more consistent coming off the bye. Maybe Arthur Smith heard all the angry fantasy owners because since the bye, I mean, he's been getting 15, 20 touches game in, game out. He's been getting the ball more. Down by the goal line as well. And Ritter had vultured a few touchdowns from him. So I think there's still meat on the bone with Bijan going against this hapless Panther team that will probably let the Falcons have a lot of ball control. And I think last week it was such a wonky game with that Falcons and Ritter throwing for like 350. I think I had Drake London actually in our lineups, and that ended up working out well. But this could be a completely different game script where Falcons could have the ball, but I think they keep it on the ground because that's what Arthur Smith loves to do. So yeah, Bijan at 6,800, too cheap.
Nice. He is too cheap. I was considering him there. So I have 7,100 left for my QB slot. No, look at that. Brock Purdy's just under that at 6,800. So give me Brock Purdy against the Cardinals. Might need to get his touchdowns early, but I think he will. So I think he's a great play this week.
Yeah, I love it. Every week. I mean, not this
every week.
Every week.
The potential blowout factors every week for this team.
Yeah,
so
because that means Purdy's going to put up numbers if they blow.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, so I have 7,300. So there's a lot of ways I could go that are going to be really fun. I could go Saquon.
For your flex?
Yep. I could go Saquon. I could go Puka and stack him with Stafford. I could go Achane, which is always a fun one. But because you picked Brock Purdy.
Oh, can I guess?
Actually, I gotta do it. Ayuk, let's do it.
I knew it. Ayuk
fumbled last game. Gotta atone. Yeah. I'm scrolling through his game logs. I had to scroll for a while before the last time he has 2 single-digit DraftKings games, and one of them is a 9.8. So this guy's been high floor, high ceiling, 7,200. That'll be that.
Went for 6 catches and 150 yards against the Cardinals last game.
Yeah, it's pretty much every week for him. He got 128 last week. Lost a fumble, didn't score for the first time in 5 games. So yeah, he's due. But who do you got for your lineup? Recap.
So I got Brock Purdy as my quarterback. My running backs are Zeke and Chuba Hubbard. My wide receivers are Garrett Wilson, Amari Cooper, and CeeDee Lamb.
Love it.
At tight end, I went cheap with Tucker Kraft. Flex, I went super cheap with Demarcus Robinson at 3,600. And then defense, I went with the Chiefs going up against the Patriots at 3,900.
Yeah, I like that one. I like that lineup. I got Matthew Stafford at quarterback, 6K against the Commanders. Rashad White at running back, 7K at Green Bay. Bijan, 6,800 at Carolina. Then Jaden Reed, some correlation with Rashad White. 4,900 against the Bucks. Some more correlation with Terry McLaurin going against the Rams at 5,600, and then got Wandale 3,700 as my value play. My tight end is Trey McBride going up against the Niners. Have him ranked in the top 5 this week at 5,200, and then more correlation. Ayuk on the other side of that, 7,200 at Arizona, and then the Browns defense at home against the Chicago Bears. Yeah, there's a lot of good plays this week because I like both of our lineups a lot.
Yeah, hopefully they can all stay healthy and
right.
No one's a scratch by the end of the week. But yeah, these are both good. I think it's a good slate. You go stars and scrubs. You could just attack the mid-range guys. A lot of different ways you can go. This is a really good slate.
Yeah, it's going to be important to go. Yeah, definitely go with some kind of contrarian options in this slate because there are a lot of guys that are going to kind of stick out, and I think even though there's going to be a lot of different lineup constructions, I think certain like within those, I think some of the guys are gonna the guys we took are going to be popular. So definitely want to kind of mix it up and go completely off the wall with at least one or two or three because just so many options. And this is and we still got a 3-game Saturday slate on top of that. So.
Love it.
We'll break that down on the Night Shift podcast. Which will be out on Friday. But that's going to do it for us here on the Fantasy Flex Fantasy Preview for Week 15. For more fantasy content from Sean and I, be sure to check out our full player projections episode that's out right now over on the Action Network podcast channel. Every Friday, as I mentioned, we'll have the Night Shift. ActionNetwork.com for all of our NFL betting and fantasy content. FantasyLabs.com for our DFS tools and models. Don't forget to join the Action Network Discord server. Link in the episode description. And you can find Sean on X at @the_oddsmaker. I'm at Chris Raybon. We're at those same handles on the free award-winning Action Network app. Until next time, let's get this shmoney.